Hello, I'm Julie Kenny from Softly Inspired and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how to leverage awareness days and awareness months in your talks in a way that doesn't feel spammy or just getting on the bandwagon. So what do I mean? Well, October, for example, when I'm recording this, is full of awareness months and days. We have Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We have National Health Day. We have a Kale Day and an Apple Day. We have a Homelessness Day. We have, oh gosh, there's another one as well. Black History Month, of course. Sorry for anybody I forgot to mention on that. We have International Day of the Girl Child. In fact, every day this month, I believe, is a national or international day of something. And that's pretty overwhelming. But it's also really what's most of us want to get involved. Most of us can see that we see these causes and we think that is something that's really great. They are really important causes. We want to get behind them. Most of us want to get behind most of them. And yet, how do you choose? Because out of all these topics, there are so many. And when we start to talk about all of them, it doesn't really give a platform to any of them. And when it comes to us getting out and being there as speakers in networking events, promoting our business and ourselves, we really need to be seen as doing something and standing for something. Otherwise, people wonder if we stand for anything. So it's really easy to get caught up in all these fantastic causes. But how do you choose? First, think about, does this align to my values? You should know what your personal and your company values are. If you don't, go away and think about that. But understand your values. Because as easy as it is to get caught up with all these things, only some of these will truly align with your values. And then think about what connects with you either personally or with your business. And I'm going to come back to that when I talk in a moment, when I talk about what you talk about. But choose something that aligns strongest with either you or your business. And if both, then definitely that's the one. If you don't make a choice, it just comes across as quite fake. So we don't want to do that. When we're choosing it on our business, generally we can see, particularly if you have relevant stories you can tell, anecdotes that you can tell, in how your business has either helped or connected with that cause. But sometimes it's a very personal connection and it's not always necessarily obvious from what you do as a business how that connects with you. So how do you talk about that? How do you talk about the topic you're going to talk about? Before you decide how you're going to talk about this topic or how you're going to approach it or touch on it, first think about understanding, work on understanding what that cause is about. We can all see a headline and we think, oh yeah, that's to do with that. Find out a little bit more about the people behind it. Find out about what's happening locally to you, perhaps what's happening in your sphere of colleagues, of connections in your network. Understand what people are trying to do by raising awareness. Is it that this is purely awareness? Is it that it is a day when more money is trying to be raised to promote study or support? What is it that is happening? So understand that cause a little bit better before you start deciding you're going to incorporate it in your talks. And once you've understood the topic, once you've understood that theme, that cause, think a little bit deeper about how you connect with that cause. What is it that makes you want to pick that cause? What does it really mean to you? Is it a personal connection? Is it a deeply personal connection, something that's happened to you? Is it something that's happened to a family member? Is it something that you have connected with in a different way? Understand what it is and why you connect with this thing. Because people will want to know, and even if you don't explain it in as many words, when you understand it, it comes across a lot better, and quite often you will get asked questions. And as you get asked those questions, you'll be able to respond in very honest ways because you have thought about this and reflected on it. Because when you start touching on these topics, if you don't understand these things, if you don't understand what the theme is, what it's for, if you don't understand your own connection with it, it can definitely come across as quite fake. And I'm definitely not encouraging you to do that. I am encouraging you to think about good causes, but not to be fake. So then let's move on to what you're going to talk about. And you basically have two choices. I mean, there's different things you can do with them, but there's essentially two choices. One is you deliver your signature speech. You purely deliver your signature speech. Except think about the anecdotes, the examples, the stories that you are using in your speech, and think about, are there alternatives? Are these connecting directly with this theme? Or are there alternatives that you could use which would be better? Let's talk about, let's say the theme is homelessness. And let's say you have a product, that you have a homeware product. And you have some small things that actually, somebody moved into their first home. They'd helped to move into their first home, and so they had one of your products because it made them feel really good to make them, it was part of their first home. Now, that's something you can think about. How did that make that person feel? So sometimes there are stories that you can use which are really, really relevant. And if they've touched you, I'm not saying don't shoehorn these things in, but if they've touched you and they are relevant to that theme, then they are great examples to use. So you might swap out some of those examples, those anecdotes that you are generally using in your talk to make them more relevant to the theme. The second option is that you don't use your signature talk at all. You create a talk around the topic. And this can be really relevant when your product, your services are not relevant necessarily to the theme, or you just don't want to go down that route, but you have some really personal stories to tell, and this is really something deep to your heart. And you might think, well, how's this going to help in my business? It's not promoting anything. It is letting people get to know you, because you are sharing your values, you are sharing a little bit more about you. And it's building that know, like, and trust. And people will remember these things. People will remember those types of talks quite deeply. So we put aside our products, we put aside our services, and we just speak from the heart and talk about that cause. And that is a perfectly valid talk to give, assuming that that's what your event organizer is happy with, of course. But they often are. So do think about that. You've got that, your signature speech adapted or just angled in a way that connects a little bit more with that theme, or you've got a talk that you are going to give on that theme. So you've got your talk, you understand what the theme's about, you understand your connection with it, you understand what talk you're giving and how it is going to bring that theme in and connect with it. You are then going to work to the end and how you're going to promote or connect with that theme. Now, different ways to do this. However, most people expect an offer to come at the end of the talk. If you sign up within the next 5 days, if you do this, if you do that, you get a discount or something. That's quite normal. That's quite expected. How do you gear this towards supporting that cause? So you've got a few options here. You might decide that instead of giving a discount, or possibly as well as, I would say instead of giving a discount is even better, you say for this amount I will donate this amount of value. So instead of giving a 10% discount, I'll donate a 10% to that cause for everybody who signs up within whatever. Or you might just that might just be a donation. You'll say I'll give a donation for each person who signs up to my mailing list. So you can still bring people in, but don't stop there, because you do want to be seen as somebody who is helping support that cause in a way that doesn't demand people connecting with you, because it just, there's a niceness to that, but there's also a slight ickiness to it. But like, I'll give, but only if you do this. So also share how they can give direct, or how they can share themselves that information, where they can go to find that. Perhaps you have a blog about it on your website. Can they find that and share that? That's maybe a different way to do that. So they could connect with you, share how they can connect directly with the cause, and share how they can get involved. Because it might be that there are other things, many other things usually, that they can do in order to get involved, or to have themselves get help from that. Because don't forget that most of these causes also are offering some sort of help to a group of people. So your audience may also include people who need support themselves from this cause. It's not always all about giving. And I think if you do that, if you don't overdo the promotion, buy all my stuff and I'll give a little bit to the cause, but you just connect it a little bit better. If you're connecting truly on your values, if you are being honest about who you are and what you connect with, if you're not overdoing the amount of causes and different things that you're supporting, then people will connect with you and people will see that you are genuine in what you are supporting. They'll see what you're about, and it does, I think, come back to you in one way or another. But I hope that you do this in a way that really means something to you and is not we're not jumping on a bandwagon here. But we, as I say, we do see these causes time and time again. We see so many this month. There are other months where, again, there are quite a lot going on. And it is quite difficult to choose. And it's quite difficult to know how to make the most of those things for yourself without doing it in a way that's really icky and meaningless. So that's what I'd like to think about this month. If you like this video, please remember to like the video. Click on that thumbs up down there. I'd love you to leave me a comment. Leave me a comment and tell me what themes, causes you are supporting this month. And if you want to know more about what I'm up to, then follow me on my social media. And of course, you'll find all the links below again, as usual.